Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Today's the solemnity of Christ, the King of the universe. So what does that mean? When I thought about this morning, it really made me think back to a couple years ago in Bible study. We had a conversation with Father Roy. And Father Roy started the whole conversation by asking us, who is the Good Shepherd to you? Now, right now at this time, I'm going to give everybody like 2 seconds just to tell the person next to you, who exactly right now, today, if you think about it, who is the Good Shepherd to you?
Jesus.
Many of you some of you had different answers. Everybody's going to have a different answer. Jesus is different things to different people. For me, he's been different things at different points in my life. Today, Jesus is somebody that I consider a role model. A couple years ago, I had a different answer. But today, Jesus is my role model. Jesus is somebody that I would like to be more like. Although, if I'm being quite honest, I'm not always perfect. But that's what I love about today's readings. Today's reading, especially in the first reading, Ezekiel. God tells Ezekiel that God will seek out those who have strayed and bring them back. God will heal the sick. As much as all of us like to think that we are perfect, my husband can probably attest that I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. And that's what I love about the first reading today, is that it gives us hope. It gives us hope that doesn't matter how far off we stray off path, how often we turn our backs on God, God is looking for us. Even when we're not looking for God, God is looking for us. To me, that's the most hopeful message that I took away from today's reading. That even when I'm not helping people the way God would want me to, that God still is finding a way into my life. Today in Matthew, we're reminded of our responsibility to one another. A responsibility that is really quite simple. In the gospel today, Jesus isn't asking us to perform miracles. Jesus isn't asking us to give all of our life savings to help the poor. Jesus is asking us to do simple things. Spend time with people. Love people. Pray for people. Oftentimes when I read this, before today really, when I would read this parable, I'd automatically thought of like the obvious things. Feeding people, giving them clothes. But what about spiritual? Oftentimes we have people that approach us throughout our lives that are spiritually hungry, spiritually thirsty. Are we praying for those people? Are we sitting talking to them? Are we talking to them about the love of God? Brothers and sisters, when we look at everybody around us, we should always see the face of Christ in those that are, look nice and presentable, and also those that can be more than likely would not be considered presentable, the homeless people, the people that we see on the streets. Are we able to look at them and really see Christ's face in them? Ill and you cared for me. In prison and you visited me. This is simple. Guys, I'm not a fabulous singer like Father Jamie. I can't quilt beautiful scarves the way Maria does. But what I can do is I can sit there and give my presence, talk to people, be there, be present. That's simple, that's free. As we prepare ourselves for Advent, it's a good practice to take an honest look and an honest account of our lives and those around us. Are we taking care of what we can? Or are we turning a blind eye? Oftentimes it's easier to turn a blind eye to things that make us feel uncomfortable. But today the gospel asks us to turn around and face that. And what would Jesus do? Ask ourselves, what would Jesus do? One of my favorite traits about Jesus is Jesus' ability to love everybody. Even in the face of hate, Jesus loved. Brothers and sisters, I don't know about y'all, but that is my goal in life. My ultimate goal is to have love in my heart. Love for everybody that I encounter. I would also like for that love to be visible to others. When we look at us, we want people to look at us and know that we are children of God. And part of that is just doing things without expecting any kind of recognition, without any kind of praise. This week, I went out, did a visit, and somebody was describing me. They were trying to describe me. They used the word jolly. And initially, when I hear that word jolly, I think of Santa Claus. And for me right now, it's a really exciting time because I love Christmas. I love the Christmas season. Everything about it. Family, the lights, the colors, everything. I love Christmas. So when this person described me as jolly, I was like, Santa's jolly? Santa's proud? That's not me. But the word jolly does not mean that. The word jolly means happy. And the fact that somebody was able to look at me and out of all the words that they could describe, crazy, loud, whatever, this person decided to describe me with the word jolly. That means that I'm doing my job as a child of Christ, that I'm going around. It may not be easy, but for the most part, all it takes is just smiling. And so the fact that I was able to give the impression that I'm jolly, that means that as a son of Christ, that I'm doing my job. That people look at me and see a jolly person. That's what we are. That's what we're called to do in today's gospel. To live our lives in such a way that people feel comfortable to come up to us, feel comfortable to approach us. We live our lives with, like Father Jamie was saying earlier, with people. People are going to people. Oftentimes, I'm almost thinking of an escalator. We've all been going to the mall a lot, just doing a lot of shopping, and you go to the escalator. It's almost like people are oftentimes so worried about taking the escalator up to heaven that we blind ourselves to what is actually around us and how can we help those around us. Let's not be so blinded by the journey into heaven that we forget about the people that we are with, the ones that we live with. Find out the needs of our neighbors, of our coworkers, of our friends. That's where it starts. As much as we'd like to go out and feed all the homeless people and do, that's all great things. I was always taught that charity starts in the home. Find out if your spouse, your significant other, your children, your brothers, your sisters, the people in your house oftentimes need help in ways that they're not going to express. Brothers and sisters, all it takes is for all of us just to ask questions, be present, be meaningful with what we say to other people. This week, I pray that all of us are able to really reflect, use the readings to reflect on ways in which we can open our hearts and open our minds so that way we are better able to see the face of Christ in everyone around us, not just the easy people, but those that are around us that are kind of more difficult to see Christ in. Amen.
Amen.